For those of you who are listening on the podcast right now, you can't tell, but I just took a delicious sip of Guinness. Why? Because it's Sunday afternoon, and why not? I just did a workout, and the best recovery drink you can have is Guinness. Don't listen to the marketers with all the bullshit about Gatorade or protein drinks or whatever. Guinness. That's where it's at. Good afternoon and welcome to the SitRep for today, which is 18th of September 2022. What a glorious day it is. Very windy where I am, but still nice, still glorious. Stephen Richards, 66, says, enjoy, mate. No, I will enjoy it. Yes, thank you. 66 because you're the 66th Steve Richards, or 66 because that's your date of birth, or maybe it's just a number. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, let's jump into it today. There's actually not too much that was piquing my interest today, but a few things. And if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, not wherever you get your podcasts, I'm not on every platform. I'm on Spotify, definitely. Not sure if I've breached into Apple yet. Not sure if they've authorized me to actually be listed there. Could be. And Google, I think, was the same. They were really, I don't know about this guy. Seems a bit weird. But what else am I on? Stitcher? People listen to me on Stitcher. So if you're listening to me on Stitcher, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think you're the number one tool for people who want to get my voice in the ear holes. They go to Stitcher and get stitched up. Anyway, thank you one and all for listening and or watching, whether it be on Instagram, YouTube, or through podcast. Let's jump into it today in this Guinness-fueled SitRep. Number one story I'm going to lead off with is this Lithium Prices. So, yeah, if you are listening to it, the title of this one is Buy Batteries Now. Lithium prices have just gone through the roof. I'm talking about lithium, the stuff that gets dug out of the ground. One of the many, many things that get dug out of the ground in order to go into rechargeable batteries, and lithium probably being the primary thing, I would say. Number of other elements, rare earth elements that get dug up out of the ground, usually in ecologically horrific ways or environmentally horrific ways, just for all those fully green, green flag wavers out there, the virtue signaling crowd who are driving around all their electronic vehicles. Just know that in order for you to get that far, there was some pretty horrific shit that happened in the sense of environmental, but also the people who are doing it. Because quite often, we've got lax laws, I'll put it that way, in countries where this stuff's getting dug up out of the ground. A lot of those African countries that are being driven very hard right now by places like Russia and China, whose track record on human rights is perfecto. So good. We all know how good Chinese human rights has been. Oh, I didn't charge my phone. Did not charge my phone, so I'm going to have to get through this one quick. Would be keen to have you on my show, bro. Talk prepping and bushcraft from the Highlight Official. I would be more than honored to do so. Hit me up, slide into my DMs, as they say, in a totally non-sexual way. Just message me, and I would be more than glad to do that. Anyway, lithium prices jumped on Friday. I mean, they've been going up for a while now, but they have really peaked. What about now? They've surged to a new record of $71,400. Damn. So if you look at the graph, and I might start doing graph type things on the YouTube from now on so I can show you stuff like this. It's kind of like it's like a straight line up. It kind of plateaus at the top there, and there is a little bit of a dip at that top, but damn, it has shot up. That's, I imagine, is going to affect batteries. So me, I'm sitting there, I'm on like EcoFlow's website, I'm on Blue Eddy's website. I'm starting to look at this sort of stuff, and I'm going, can or should I get that solar system that I've been thinking about, get that larger solar system that I've been thinking about, get those batteries now, get those solar generators that I've been thinking about, even though I'm pretty happy with what I've got. Just looking at this sort of data come out, I'm going, maybe I want to get ahead of the curve here and get these things that, even though I'm thinking, I won't get that for a couple of years to set up in my house, maybe I should get that now and save myself the hurt in 2 years' time when I'm going to actually probably install it in my house, when it'll be a lot more. November to February, like a wall straight up from the Highlight Official. Yep. It's and we're all running straight into that wall. All right, what else? What else is in the news? The UN, in all its wisdom, the UN World Food Programme chief David Beasley has come out and told the Security Council that the world is facing a global emergency of unprecedented magnitude. Actually put a number on it for once. 345 million people are at risk of starvation. So this is interesting information from this perspective, because it's all in the words here, what they actually say. They've been touting this for a little while, and they're saying, hey, people are going to drop below the poverty line. People are going to be food insecure. We're going to see tens of millions of people food insecure. Now, they've got a very specific number, 45 million people. I mean, it's not that specific in reality, but where do you come up with that number? But they've pulled out this number out of their collective butts and said it's not actually food insecurity that they're talking about. This was the interesting part for me, where I'm like, oh, starvation. You're talking about people dying. They don't want to say the big D word, but they're saying, hey, this is people suffering from starvation, 345 million people. And if you've heard me talk in the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about this, hundreds of millions of people. So now the UN World Food Programme is backing that up, and they're saying, yep, hundreds of millions of people will be at the cusp of death from starvation. And as I said, like, there's a whole heap of knock-on effects from this. This isn't just people in Africa dying from starvation. This is mass migration. This is civil unrest. This is wars being fought as this whole thing goes sideways. Interesting little tidbit here that he said, what was a wave of hunger is now a tsunami of hunger. And this is happening within the next 6 to 12 months. So be prepared. Be prepared for this. I mean, again, as Australians, be prepared to watch this on the news. But there will be other effects, as I said. And higher food prices for us is just one of them. So prepare thyself for that. You have been warned. Just following up on that flooding event that happened in Italy yesterday, they're now describing it as a water bomb. Check this out, 16 inches in the old scale, which is like, what, 34, 35 centimeters, I want to say? Was it 2.2 centimeters per inch? So 16, 32, let's say 35, 36 centimeters, which is 350, 360 mils, which is how we usually measure rain. That's a fair amount of rain. I'm sure you'll agree. That's in 2 hours. In 2 hours in a discrete area. 2 hours in a small area. You have, hang on. Here's one I prepared earlier. Where are we? Oh, it's actually got inches on it. Boom. That much. That much. So if I put that at the top of my head, that's going down to my nipples. So if I was upside down in that water, I would be in that water to my nipples if I was standing on my head. That's how we'll scale rain from now on. The upside down GADS scale up to my nipples. That's a lot of rain, y'all. Weather events, going to keep talking about it. Big thing. We got to prepare for them. We got to put it in our mind. These things could happen to us at any point. So prepare yourself for extreme weather events. Greek, a little bit more turmoil in Greece. Hundreds have hit the streets marching, protesting about soaring prices, and they're throwing their disdain at the finance ministry within Greece. So I'm going to keep saying it. Increased civil unrest. It's going to happen. If you live in a city, then, think about that. Super deadly typhoon packing 170 mile per hour winds. All right, 1.7 Ks per mile. So we're looking at 170, I don't know, a lot. 250, 260 kilometer winds. I don't know exactly. All right, my math's a little bit off here, but it's fast. It is fast, these winds. But this is what they're calling a super typhoon now. So we're getting new classifications all the time. They're adjusting the scales. What we've got now is a super typhoon. I don't know if it's actually in here what the name of it is. It was some name that I couldn't pronounce anyway, so I'm not even going to try it. It's smashing into Japan as we speak, and they've put out warnings to up to 2 million people, residents of Japan, to say, hey, take shelter, prepare yourself, this is going to hit. This could be one of the deadliest storms in decades that they've seen there. So sending my thoughts and hopes and wishes out to the people of Japan. If for some reason you are in Japan and you're listening to me, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, then I hope you're safe and that you're well and that you are prepared for this catastrophic event that is potentially going to smash into your country right now. Something also we need to think about. I mean, I personally, this is one of the reasons I live where I live, is to mitigate these sort of storms, in that I live further inland. I live outside of the normal range of a hurricane event, a cyclone event, a typhoon event. I'm trying to think. I think that's all the names. It depends on where you are in the world as to what you call it. Matthew Hayden on YouTube says, hey, Stu, do you reckon society will descend into chaos or be under tight top-down control first? There's actually the potential for both of these, I believe. Great question, by the way, Matthew. Thank you very much for asking it. I think there's a potential for both of them, because as we see more chaos in our societies, we'll see more tightening of rules and more enforcement of rules and more instigation or bringing about of rules. So they'll use, it's chicken and the egg sort of thing, where they'll use that as an excuse to actually increase the amount of powers and control that and I say they as in governments, obviously, that they have on us, on individual people. And as they do that, it will probably no doubt cause more civil unrest and more chaos. But if you're asking the question of, if things keep going the way they're going, will we go into full chaos, like Mad Max type situation, or will the government step in and it will be the dystopian future 1984 style thing? I think most probably my hit prediction of this is more 1984 than anything, unfortunately. I think governments will step in and become more and more authoritarian. The individual people will give up individual freedoms more and more to government as we go along, as we get more fearful, as we get more frightened, because most people are not, they don't back themselves enough, I guess. They don't have the prerequisite skills or abilities to look after themselves in an emergency. This is one of the reasons why I get up and harp on about shit that I harp on about a lot, is about being a self-reliant human being, because that is the antidote, as far as I see, to that. Whereas if I can be more self-reliant, then I'm much less likely to go to the government and go, please give me a handout, please, mummy, daddy, government, help me, I'm starving. I'll be more likely to go, right, how can I sort this out myself? How can I dig in the garden? How can I start growing stuff? How can I source food? How can I source water? How can I go hunt? How can I feed my family? How can I feed my community? How can I help keep my community safe and functioning? And then fuck the government. Like, whatever you're offering, I don't want it. I don't want it. They're like, oh, we'll give you a pittance, but you have to do exactly what we tell you to do. I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm sorted. So that's what I see happening. I see us going more into the authoritarian top-down control, but that can only last so long. And I think the more that actually comes in, the more likelihood, it's like a system, right? And the more pressure you put into a system, the more likely that system is to burst out somewhere. So as we get more and more control from governments, we create the environment in which chaos will burst out at some stage. That's my take on it anyway. Highlight Official says lithium year on year is up 225.16%. Damn. All the staples are up: eggs, butter, potatoes, internationally. Yes, this is all true. And it's all terrifying too. And on top of this, everything that the government is doing right now is attacking these things as well. Everything that the green agenda is doing is attacking these things too. And the more I look into this green agenda, because I'd love for it to be real. I really would. Let's live in that utopian society. But it always gets the hair standing up on the back of my neck whenever anybody puts forward an idea that has some sort of utopian society at the end of it. I just don't think it's real, and I don't think it ever will be. Everything that the government is doing at the moment seems almost geared towards pulling down these things, which will increase the prices of all these things. Everything is geared towards breaking down our farming system, which is going to increase food, breaking down livestock system, breaking down the dairy system. So it's going to increase all these foods. Nowhere yet have I seen a great example of a government coming out and saying, all right, gang, look, champions, my fellow people, get into your gardens, start growing food. I need every human who possibly can, who has a backyard, to own at least 3 chickens, if not 20. If you have the ability, I want a goat or a cow in your backyard chewing your grass. Right, I want you to turn at least one of your fields in your local area to either cropland or to livestock, to growing livestock. I haven't seen that from any government yet. And that right there is an Inflation Reduction Act, not the BS that you're seeing coming out of the US at the moment with their Inflation Reduction Act, which is tailored to create more inflation. If you look at what they're doing in that act, I'm like, that, what, like the only reason you would call that an Inflation Reduction Act is to insult people who actually read it, to slap them in the face and go, this is an Inflation Reduction Act. And you go, this is designed to increase inflation. You're like, reduction, fuck you. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that we really need to be concentrating on. All right, over to the US now. Walmart and other major retailers are all canceling billions of dollars in orders as sales and inventory is slowing down. One thing that I like to try and recommend to people, what we try and do whenever we're looking at stories and stuff like that, like, don't take anything at face value, but try and look at the data that comes out. This I find more solid. So for a long time, or not a long time, but for the past couple of months, right, I've been looking at the data that's coming out, especially the US, because that's going to affect the US stock market, or should affect the US stock market, which then we all follow. Every country is hooked into it at the moment. The data hasn't been great, but the government or the pundits or the talking heads then come out and say, oh, it's actually okay, everything's fine, it's all cool. And people go like, yeah, but we've got inflation, which just hit 6.8%. And then the next month, 7.5%. And it looks like it's going to push 8%, or actually hit 8.6%. And they go, no, yeah, but that's cool. It's fine. We've factored it in. The market's already budgeted it in. We're all cool. And everyone goes, okay, we're all cool. This last one that came out, what it was to me, looking at it, was them people going like, you can't say this is cool anymore. Like, clearly it is not. And what did the market do? The market had a little freak out this past week. There was like $1 trillion or something that just disappeared off the market. All imaginary money anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but bang, gone. So what you got to do is actually look at what people are doing. Same thing when I was when we were looking at that Putin, he's sitting on the edge of Ukraine. Is he going to go in? We're about the 20th of February this year, right? Is he going to go in? He's saying he's not. And I was saying, well, what is he doing? Let's forget the news story, the cycle at the moment, because these guys are saying it's going to be nuclear war, and these guys are saying no, we're not even going in. Well, what are they actually doing? What are they doing? They're building up forces on the border. They're clearly that's what they're going to do. So look at what is actually happening. Look at actions over words always. And this here is the sort of stuff what I'm talking about. I'm going, what's the actions of one of the largest companies in the US, Walmart? But this includes Walmart, Target, Macy's, Kohl's. Any of the people from the US or have been to the US, you'll know that these are huge, huge companies, giant chain stores, right? Target is kind of similar to Target in Australia, but bigger in the US, as everything is, right? So they're slowing down. They're going like, no, we need to cancel all these orders, all that stuff that we said we wanted in, we're not going to have. This is actually the flow-on effect of what's happened with the supply chain months and months ago, where everyone was freaking out because nobody could get anything. And these companies were like, we just need everything now, give it to us. And then all of a sudden there was a bit of an opening in the supply chains, and boom, the market was flooded. We've seen sales. I've talked about this ad nauseum coming up to June 30th. I was like, watch these sales go off, and watch them go over June 30th, end of financial year. Watch them go into July. And they did. And they went into August. And I'm still seeing sales now in September because retailers are freaking out because now they got way too much shit. Interest rates are going up. People are going, actually, I need to keep my dollars, even though those dollars are becoming less and less every single day due to inflation. People are still going like, well, I still need it. The only way that people who don't know money know how to save is by not spending, by keeping the dollars in the bank, which is maybe not the best way to do it right now, but that's what people do. And that's one of the mechanisms of inflation, is to cause people to keep money in banks. Anyway, we got these huge companies sending a very clear signal out to anyone who has eyes to read it that something is wrong. Something is going wrong. This whole mechanism works on money moving around and quicker and quicker and quicker. This is a sign of that going, not just slowing down, but this whole thing like the wheel getting wonky and actually starting to come off. So not a great sign, in all honesty, coming out from the US there. That's actually it. That's all I've got as far as the stories go today. Guinness. That was a Sykes Fairburn in the background dropping. I don't know if that's a sign. If Carl Jung was around, he'd say that was a sign. The knife has dropped, as it were. The metaphorical blade has dropped. Do not try and catch it. Let it hit the ground. Step away from it. And that's kind of the idea, I guess, on what I would try and do with my life right now. Don't try and get ahead of the stock market. Don't try and think about, oh, how can we beat this? How can we make more money here? Certainly can if your head's in it. But if you're just an average Joe like me, or even a dullard like me, what I'm starting to think is like, okay, this system, it's becoming a bit of a mutant beast right now. The wheels are getting very wonky on it. I actually just want to get off the car for a little bit. I want to start looking at alternative things that I can do so I'm not beholden to this beast right now. Kat on the YouTube just said, just went to Woolies today. For those international folk who may not know the Australian institution that is Woolies, that's actually Woolworths. And no, UK, it's not like the Woolworths you have. Our Woolworths is different. In fact, I used to work for, not Woolworths, but it was called Safeway back in the day. This is back in the 90s, mid-90s, I guess, back at Safeway. But anyway, Woolworths. It's one of the two major supermarkets in Australia. So Kat's just said, I've gone to Woolies today, toilet paper again, lol, in short supply. I just did a Costco shop of stocked up my toilet paper and my, paper towel. So I'm set for them for a little while, so I don't have to deal with any of that crap. Pun intended. But yeah, Aussies fighting over their toilet paper. Sick for it. Anyway, we could see some things in short supply again. That's certainly going to happen again. These are the sorts of things that I talk about. Try and build that life where we're not necessarily that worried about a short-term shortage on frigging toilet paper or anything for that matter. There's a short-term shortage on Guinness. Don't worry about it. You've got plenty stockpiled, or like me, you don't mind a little bit of home brewing. So you got the homebrew gear and you can whip that out if you want. So that's it for today, gang. I appreciate all of you again listening in on whatever medium you've been watching this on. As always, if you've got any questions, please feel free to shoot them through to me. Would love to try and answer them. Kat says, what was the best generator you recommend? Look, as far as solar generators go, I mean, if we're talking petrol, I've got a lot of experience with the smaller Honda I series generators for that sort of small output power and portability. They're great, all right? I'll just say that. I think they're fantastic. I can't really fault them. They're fantastic little generators. The Honda I think it's i25 and i30 or something. Maybe I'm talking about Hyundais now, but I don't know. It's i something or other. So those little Honda ones are great. If we're talking about solar generators, I personally have an EcoFlow Delta. I reckon it's great. I reckon it's really freaking good. And for the amount of money, I probably had to pay a little bit more for that. You'll have to pay a little bit more for that than, going out and buying the parts yourself and building the whole thing yourself. But it is so user-friendly. It is so portable, and it is so very functional. It recharges really fast in multiple different ways. Its output is very smart. So it thinks about how it's outputting things and will shunt the power around. And you can connect it up to other battery systems that they've got as well. So other extended battery packs. So I would recommend checking out EcoFlow. I've been checking out Bluetti as well. They've from all reports, I've never tried it myself, but from all reports, they're a very good company as well. So they're probably two of the higher ones that I've ever seen rated out there. So definitely check those ones out. All right, that's it. That's it for today. I'm going to go finish my beer. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whatever you're doing, or it might even be the end of Saturday if you're one of those people who listen to me in the US of A. Hope everything's going well over there. Until next time, folks, stay safe out there, keep prepping, and Semper Paratus.